คุณทุกท่านที่ได้ซื้อ VCD เรื่องสะเดาะกุญแจขอออกตัวก่อนนะครับกุญแจ2ที่เราเรียกว่าสะเดาะเนี่ยเราใช้นะฮะใช้ VCD ของต่างประเทศมาเป็นตัวสอนซึ่งบ้านเราช่างที่สะเดาะเนี่ยก็จะมีอยู่ไม่กี่ท่านเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าดูจากของต่างประเทศทำก็ต้องใช้การฝึกฝนนะฮะเหมือนกันเล่นกลเล่นมายากลนะฮะคล้ายๆกันต้องฝึกฝนให้ชำนาญงานสะเดาะเป็นงานเอาท์ดอร์ราคาดีอย่างเช่นว่าเราไปเปิดประตูบ้านที่เป็นลูกบิดนั่น600 บาทถ้ากลางคืนเขาคิด1,200นะฮะลูกค้าหลักก็คือลงวิธีการใช้สะเดาะก็คุ้มฮะบางครั้งเนี่ยเราเขี่ยแป๊บเดียวก็ได้แล้วแต่เราทำคุณค่าของเวลาให้มันมากหน่อยเพราะมันจะดูแล้วเงินที่เราได้มาไม่คุ้มกับค่าเงินที่เขาเสียให้เราเขี่ยแป๊บออกเก็บเขา
This process will take approximately 4 to 5 minutes to complete, and this is what it. Now some people prefer this type of tension wrench over the standard steel spring type wrench. The Ideal Creation lockpick set comes with 4 different pick heads, a pick holder, and a dual-sized double-headed tension wrench. I'm going to talk a little bit about when to use each of the picks and the tension wrench. If the large end is inserted into a small lock like this, there won't be any room to insert the pick. So what you do is you simply pick the lock. Now the first pick that I'm going to talk about is the pick feeler. Holder into the opposite end of the pick and you're ready to press the pins. The second pick here is the small best for the raking technique. This pick is almost identical to the small rake pick except bigger, so it's a double-headed rake. Some people prefer this rake over the single-headed rake because every time you rake the pins you hit them twice versus only once. Like desk, I can get them open with one quick stroke. To make ideal tension wrenches. Now these spring steel strips can be purchased at most hardware stores, hobby shops, or craft shops. And to make them it's very easy. Now what you do is you bend the very tip of this 45 degrees. We're going to do 2 45-degree bends. So we move back about 1/4 of an inch and make our first bend 45 degrees. There are 2 45-degree bends to make this 90-degree bend. And this program and print it. To make the lockpick, first print out the template, like this one here. The next step is to place a piece of double-sided stick tape on the back of it. Now the next step is to cut out the drawing. Use a pair of scissors and stick it on the metal strip and outline the part with the marker. Once the part is that you just stuck on, and you'll have a part strip. Now if you use a grinder you can grind off on, and so follow the outline and use your electric grinder to grind the part. An excellent pick feeler or rake device. To make a tension wrench from a hairpin is very simple. The characteristics of the metal that is used in this always go back to its original shape when pulled apart. The first step in making the tension wrench with the hairpin is to break off the leg. Break spring steel, you need to bend it out 90 degrees. That's the threshold breaking point of the steel. So I bend it out 90 degrees and the end will snap off, just like that. Steel will snap at about 90 degrees. Already there's about a 45-degree bend right here at the tip of the hairpin. So continuing bending it another 45 along those pliers and continue bending that at that joint 90 degrees. A nice 90-degree bend right here. Shorten it, I'll bend this tip back 90 degrees to make this, and here we have it. Nice tension wrench. And all you have to do to use it is insert it into the lock. Using a hairpin is an excellent way. Now once this is done, pull off the little ball at the end of the hairpin with your long nose pliers. Is needed actually to bend this, and use your back of your pliers or long nose pliers and grip it very tightly. And once it's bent, it should look something like this. And now the binder. Wrapped around the end of the hairpin. And there you have it, an excellent feeler pick. To make a feeler pick out of a safety pin is very easy. All you have to do is open the safety pin all the way. Now this safety pin is about open up like this and bend the very tip of this safety pin out 45 degrees. And here we go. Bend it just like this. And once you bend it like this, this is almost ready to go. The tip of this safety pin is very sharp, so I would recommend using a grinder or rubbing this on a sheet of concrete to, and there we have it, a nice feeler pick from a safety pin. Many times I combine the picking techniques knowing one of them will work. Sometimes I start off with a raking technique to get some of the basic pins into place. Then I switch over and go between the pin pressing technique and the tapping technique. The pressing technique works well on almost all locks. To do this technique, insert the pick feeler into the lock. You repeat the process so many times until the lock opens. To do this raking technique, first insert the rake all the way into the lock until it touches the back wall. Then press down on the pick and use the base of the lock as leverage. The tip of the rake will press upwards. Then with a quick The tapping technique is ideal and works best in opening the way into the lock. Then quickly start tapping on all the pins. The video may not be able to keep up to show how fast the actual tapping is, Listen to the audio to hear how fast the actual tapping is. I have found this technique more effective on doors than any other techniques. .45 Take about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Simple. A pick feeler using a paper clip. Now to use it, pick into the lock and you can press upwards on all the pins. Now the paper clip is not very sturdy. As a matter of fact, it bends very easily. So less tension should be used on the tension wrench when picking a lock. And gently go through all the pins, pressing with the most inner pin and working outwards with the paper clip. Bend the leg out 90 degrees so that it'll look like this. Grab about 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch and should bend it out 90 degrees so that it would look just like this. Is get your lock like this one here, where you still have access to the pins within. Apply about 1 pound of force to the tension wrench so that there's a constant turning pressure on the lock. The next step is to insert the pick feeler all the way in until it's the deepest pins in upwards. As the pins are being pressed in one at a time, you can feel the just got one a second ago. There's a third one, and I've almost got them all. How many pins you have pressed to the correct depth is to slowly release the pressure on the tension wrench. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear the pins dropping back into place. 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4 pins that were the pick feeler. Apply the tension, approximately about a pound of force inside to the very back. And I work trying to get to the back. Okay, there it goes. It's all the way to the back. And then I slowly work forward, pressing each of the pins up as I'm working forward. And I've gotten a few pins right there. And that was it. That easy. That are used to open a lock. There's the tension wrench, which applies a turning pressure on the lock to open it, and there's the feeler, which is used to press the pins in on the lock. When the pins are pressed into the correct depth, the lock will automatically open up, used for other techniques like pressing, but all of them basically have the same function. The tension wrenches are always used to have a turning force on the lock, and the feelers are always used to press the pins in. The tension wrench can be placed in either one of 2 places. It can either be placed below the pins like this, or it can either be placed right in front of the pins like this. The amount of pressure which is applied, approximately 1 pound of pressure needs to be applied on the tension wrench. If too much pressure is applied on the tension wrench, the pins become very difficult to be pressed in if too little pressure is applied on the tension. The tubular lock that. Now get your tubular pick and any side of the pick into the curved edge of the tubular lock. This will allow you to apply a turning force on the lock will open. This is a ward lock. Once you've got the hang of opening it, it's fairly easy to open. This is called a ward lock, 2 pins keeping the lock shut. That is here and here. Insert the ward pick all the way into the lock until it hits the back wall. Then turn the pick clockwise. You should feel the tension of the spring that holds the first pin. If the pin is positioned correctly, the shackle will slightly move and one side of the lock will be unlocked. To release the second pin, insert the ward pick all the way into the lock until it hits then turn the pick clockwise. If the pick is positioned correctly, you will feel the spring that holds the second pin move, and the lock will open. As the pins begin to align, the tension wrench will turn a little each time a pin is aligned. This is the lock. Wiggle, 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 jiggle, 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 wiggle, 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 jiggle, jiggle. After a few seconds, the lock will turn and the trunk will open.
สำหรับกุญแจ3ห่วงสำหรับกุญแจแบบตัวเหลี่ยมนะฮะยาวและแหลมแบบเหลี่ยมเล็กน้อยอีก2แบบคือประตูกับฝากระโปรงท้ายทั้งหมดนี้ต้องฝึกนะเป็นทักษะที่โรงเรียนมีฝึกอย่างนี้5วันนะครับชุดสะเดาะมีขายเป็นชุดพร้อมหนังสือชุดเล็กก็อีซูซุแบบที่ปั๊มน้ำมันหรือพวกอู่ล้างรถเขาเวลาเขาล็อกประตูโดยเผลอเลยเนี่ยเขาจะมีเหล็กเขียเป็นงานได้เงินนะฮะเสริมกับเครื่องทำกุญแจจากแผ่นที่1เพราะแผ่นที่1นี่จะแล้วยังมีซีดีอีกหลายๆอย่างนะครับคุณเอาไปเลือกดูได้นะซีดีการทำนะครับ power supply แม้กระทั่งการใช้มิเตอร์และอื่นๆนะฮะหรือถ้าเป็นจานดาวเทียมก็นะการติดตั้งเลดยังมีโครงการ100 คนเรียนฟรีให้สถานประกอบการ